What's up everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate all of you that are engaging in a conversation about Xbox's position right now in the industry, Game Pass, their own strategy to take their games and put on PlayStation, Nintendo, wherever they want the players to play the game or whatever, which is a money move, by the way. It's not like, somehow Microsoft woke up and, repented and said, it's time for me to start doing all these good, great things. No. This is as a result of them wanting to compete in this industry in a different way and having been, in my opinion, at the bottom of the, ladder for all of this while. However, there's something that continues to come up in this conversation, and I thought we'd maybe take a look at it because it's a valid concern, but I think it's a misplaced concern. And what that is the concern that Xbox's Game Pass affects the quality of games. Now, this is a very interesting argument. I've actually seen this argument, and I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've also seen this argument in one form or the other. In fact, I have a video where I recently made, and that argument has also come up. Now, I want to differentiate because there are aspects to this particular argument that, yes, you can say maybe somebody who's developing a video game and already has a deal with Game Pass may not necessarily, at the end of the day, put in as much effort and quality to finish their game because they kind of have the cushion of Game Pass. Some people can abuse it. This is not saying that, any developer has done so, but there is that potential. That's one argument in that category that I can say, okay, there's the way where this can affect the quality of a video game. However, most games, actually, the quality are dependent on the developer and the publisher that wants to deliver that game, whether or not Game Pass exists. If the game is good, the game will be good. If the game sucks, the game will suck. And if we actually go through Game Pass right now and take a look right now and say, okay, what games on Game Pass do we see the quality being affected because of Game Pass? It'll be hard for you to pinpoint a game like that. Why? Because Callisto Protocol came out and it was not a Game Pass game and it did not vibe with its own audience. Dead Space 2 remake, Dead Space remake came out. It vibed with its audience. Where's Dead Space? Come here. Right? It vibed with its audience, but it didn't get a lot of sales, ended up on Game Pass. So how can we say that Game Pass has an effect on quality when we're looking at two games from two individual developers, two individual publishers that released outside of Game Pass on their own accord, and they were met with two different reactions, but at the bottom line, their sales were not strong. One of them had the quality that its fans wanted, Dead Space, according to the reviews, according to the reactions. And then the other one would try to actually imitate, because the creator worked on Dead Space, tried to maybe get some strands from their pool that audience, did not see the rewards. And that game also did not receive sales, and they both have landed on Game Pass. So how did Game Pass affect the quality of those games? How? PlayStation even helped with the development of Callisto Protocol. Do you remember that? Remember when they were talking about that in the news? So I bring these two examples to you to say that argument, if it's not talking about potential developers that are trying to abuse that system, the argument is a flawed and a failed argument. Another game, Remnant of the Ashes, Part 1 and Part 2, landing on Game Pass, especially Part 2. Part 2 received high praises, a quality game, 80 Metacritic score right here. This is it, folks. Look at it. Everybody was singing the praises of this game, was getting 90s and 90s and 90s. A quality game that was made independent of Game Pass ended up coming to Game Pass. Microsoft was not sitting there saying, oh, here's a gun to your head. If you don't bring your game to Game Pass, you're going to do blah, blah, blah. No. The game just did not receive strong sales because it came out, remember, in that sandwich, that crunch of years, that a lot of different games were coming out at the same time. Now, let's go to games that were just not good according to their own responses as well. Well, I already showed you. I thought Callisto Protocol was decent. I don't know about, its audience just didn't like it. Redfall. Redfall was the game that got clowned all over the place. It was just a poor release. Nothing was good with the game. They're not even showing you its Metacritic score here, right? You could tell how they just conveniently skipped that, right? Well, the game was just not good. Was it because of Game Pass? No, the game had already been in production before the acquisition of Bethesda, and its own developers did not meet their goals. They basically shipped this game, and now the studio is done. The studio is facing the ramifications of not meeting that quality standard. And that's just the reality of the gaming scene. Hi-Fi Rush is another one where even though the game was good, right? It had the quality that everybody's talking about. But its own developers did not even meet their sales goals. This game got a 90 Metacritic score, and the studio is no longer in production as of, I think, this weekend. So the conversation about quality has not necessarily been truly about quality. I think we need to be honest with ourselves, ladies and gentlemen. I think it's just a conversation where people are trying to say maybe developers can abuse it. But which developer have we seen that has abused Game Pass? I've not seen the developer that's abused Game Pass. Why? Because if your game sucks, you might go out of business. In fact, your game could be good and you still go out of business. So that quality argument needs to be something that we probably shelve if it's not being spoken of with enough nuance. I think the logic around Game Pass needs to be those who are probably not necessarily fond of it or fans of it. You can just say you're not fond of it, or you're not a fan of it. But to find all of these different takes to try to maybe discredit the ecosystem and the platform, to me, I don't necessarily see how that's helpful in the conversation. Unless, of course, you're saying, let us ensure that we're cautious with Game Pass so that developers don't start to abuse it. But remember, somebody made that report the other day and said that the Game Pass funding seemed to have dried up. Now that Activision has been, acquired and their games are starting to come to Game Pass, doesn't seem like Microsoft is going to be opening up the money bag anyways. Hence, quality seems like it's going to continue to remain, because even within the Xbox studios, a message is now clear. Make a good game. Microsoft gives a lot of creative freedom. Hellblade Senua's Saga, Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, make a good game. But make sure that your game is one that has market appeal. We're not going to hold your hands too much like Sony does. But if your hand is not going to be bringing in profit, man, we might be sending your team to go work on Halo or Call of Duty. It's a sad and harsh reality, but it is the reality in the market right now. Talk to me in the comment section. Let me hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Peace out.